Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Manatee County Tourist Development Council. Today is June 23rd, and we are going to get started. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by the Reverend Dr. Dirk Rogers. Please rise. And Reverend Dr. Dirk Rogers, thank you very much.
Shall we pray? Father, thank you so much for joining us together for this wonderful business of serving your people because we are all God's children. Thank you for the blessing of tourists, which some in our culture have struggled sometimes seeing as blessings. So, Father, I pray for your blessing on this meeting as we create a harmonious whole here in our community. Father, for each person serving here, especially for each person on the commission, I pray for them a special blessing. In addition to their gracious willingness to serve the public, they too have concerns, health concerns, family concerns, relationship concerns, personal burdens to carry, and we are so grateful that they choose nevertheless to serve. So I pray for your special blessing on them as they take on this additional responsibility. And I pray for the deliberations in this group, that above all else, we remember we are all your children, and we are blessed with the human dignity of listening and caring and being gracious and respectful in all our dialogue, Father. And I dedicate this work to you and ask you to bring people together through it. In the name of Christ Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're very happy to be out at Anna Maria Island today. The traffic wasn't that bad. The scenery was great on the drive out here. We are going to begin with TDC member introductions, and I would like to begin to my left at the end of the table, please.
Ed Childs, Sandbar Beach House, Mar Vista Restaurants.
Eric Cairns, Cedar Cove Resort.
Shirley Gruber Bryant, Mayor of the City of Palmetto.
Misty Servia, Manatee County Commissioner and Chairman of the TDC.
Rahul Patel, Red Roof Inn in Ellington.
Jack Reinerson, long-time member.
Elliot Felchoni, Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Leanne Keeling, Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, TDC, very much for that. All right, we're going to move on to approval of the meeting minutes. We do need a motion for this, and these are the meeting minutes from April 18th, 2022.
Move.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to public comment. Anyone who has a public comment, please approach the podium at this time. Mayor Chappie.
Well, hello. John Chappie, Mayor, City of Bradenton Beach. I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for a lot of the things that you guys do. And in particular, I wanted to thank you for the $850,000 grant that we received from you guys in the County Commission for our finger docks that we're putting up in Bradenton Beach, and also the redo of the dinghy dock that we have. The dinghy dock is complete. We are still waiting, unfortunately, for a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, so there has been a little delay. We're going through, I think, the third or fourth person that they've assigned, because people leave, and it's just one of the, and then they start from the beginning again. So I just wanted to keep you informed as to where we're at, and to do the amenities that are also going to be for the improve the conditions and the amenities for the water taxi when it comes, which we're keeping our fingers crossed that that's going to be sooner rather than later. So thank you again so much, and you guys do a great job.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for that update. And those of us who have worked with the Army Corps of Engineers, we have learned patience. So thank you for being patient. I want to recognize Commissioner Carol Whitmore is in the audience with us today. Are there any other elected officials here today that I can introduce? Would you please stand up and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Williams. I'm the Commissioner from District 4 of Longboat Key.
Thank you very much for being here. Anyone else? Yes, please. Carol Carter from the City of Anna Maria, Chair of the Commission. Thank you for being here. All right. So now we're going to move on to a report on the Anna Maria Historical Society. Barbara Murphy is here. Barbara?
Madam Chair, if I may, while Barbara's walking up, the Historic Society reached out to me a few weeks ago. Y'all remember the shady guy in the front row, Doug Copeland, who was on our TDC, former city councilman who we love dearly. And if y'all can remember, about 5 years ago, the TDC recommended some funding for the Historic Society for the History Museum on Pine Avenue. And they've done a great job. They've been good stewards on the island and showcasing the history. So they're ready to take that facility to a new level. And we're intrigued about it, especially now that we have a new pier at the end of Pine Avenue, and we're anticipating a water taxi service soon. So with that, our third-party research would tell us that it's beaches, food, and history that are the top 3 appeals to visitors. So with that, we asked Barbara to come and just give us an update, and then our team will work with them, and we may come back with a partnership opportunity maybe as early as August. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and welcome to Anna Maria, Elliott, and TDC commissioners. It's such a great pleasure to be here with you and have this opportunity to present our museum to you. It's been said that we don't know where we are going till we know where we've been. History has a lot of valuable and interesting lessons for all of us, and the Anna Maria Historical Society, the Anna Maria Historical Museum, offers a glimpse into the past of our little piece of paradise. How it was formed, how we grew, the struggles and successes of those who came before us, both residents and visitors alike. You can literally take a step back in time as you walk through the museum, filled with artifacts and photos of the past. Or take a tour of Belhaven, the little home that was saved from the ravages of Tampa Bay. The island's history is all there to see and experience at our museum. And I invite you all to travel back in time with us and experience what the island life was like so many years ago. Now, I would like to introduce Doug Copeland, whose wife, Pat, was one of the original founders of our museum. Doug is a tremendous supporter of our historical museum. In his spare time, he makes cabinets that house our files. He has been responsible for plantings and trees all around the gardens of our museum. And he's always there at all our events to lend a helping hand. We couldn't do it without Doug. So without further ado, I present Doug. Take it away, Doug.
Thank you, Barbara. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the TDC, Elliott, and staff. It's my privilege to speak on behalf of the Anna Maria Island Historical Society and the Anna Maria Island Historical Museum. For some of you, this may be an introduction, for others, an update. The Anna Maria Island Historical Society, and note it's island, not just the city of Anna Maria, began in 1990 when Pat Copeland was editor of the Anna Maria Islander Press, the former Islander. The owners decided to close after 40 years of publication. Pat bought the bound volumes dating back to 1958 and the remaining photos and clip files with the idea of starting a historical society. She shared her dream with then Anna Maria Mayor Ray Simchez, who put her together with Carolyn Norwood, a former island reporter. They worked together and began the Anna Maria Island Historical Society in 1990. They issued a press release inviting interested islanders to a meeting. A great response turned into monthly meetings and speakers, and they began to work on bylaws and articles of incorporation. The Anna Maria Island Historical Society was incorporated April 11th, 1991. Founders are pictured at the 25th anniversary of the founding. The first home was Dr. Stevens' former animal clinic on Crescent Avenue. Ed Childs was a great supporter and paid the rent and utilities for the first year. As documents and photos and artifacts were connected, the building soon became crowded and the search for a more permanent home began. The new home came when the Turtle Watch had to give up the Turtle House, when changes in state law forced it to stop hatching turtles. The building on Pine Avenue originally served in an ice house and then as the police station. The Anna Maria City Commission gave the Anna Maria Historical Society use of the building in 1992. With the help of the Anna Maria Island privateers and other volunteers, the building was gutted and remodeled and remains their current home. The public office was vacated and added to the museum. The property also contained the iconic Old City Jail, where the surrounding property had served as the city dump for many years. A group of volunteers cleaned it up and planted Anna Maria's first native landscape, becoming the historical park. The next addition came in 2000. It was Bellhaven Cottage, originally part of the city pier. It is shown as the white building to the right. During a storm in 1926, it fell into the bay. It was raised and moved to Palmetto Avenue, where it served as a residence. However, it was in danger of being demolished. Funds were raised, and it was moved to the museum site. Once again, volunteers rehabbed it, and it was remodeled and dedicated 3 years later. The grandma remained a grandma's attic until 2014, when a professional was hired to curate and display the artifact. As you can see by the man in the center picture, there was a time when concerns other than a parking spot were of greater importance. In addition to celebrating and sharing island histories, activities through the years have created recognition and raised funds. These include Heritage Day, the history, favorite and historical plays. Favorite plays were the history of Holmes Beach, the history of the Fire District, the history of the Island School. In 1998, the society started a scholarship for outstanding island seniors. It continues this to this day, being named in 2021 the Pat Copeland Historical Scholarship. This year's winner received $4,000. Today, the museum continues to operate Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 in season and 10 to 1 the rest of the year. It is run entirely by volunteers. There is an 11-member board of directors and 15 docents who greet and answer questions for the 600 to 800 visitors each month. In March, on Heritage Day, 1,061 visitors signed into the museum. In 2021, the Anna Maria Chamber of Commerce named the Historical Society as the nonprofit business of the year. With increasing traffic at the museum due to the reopening of the pier, the PAR development of businesses, the Green Village, the soon-to-be Moat Marine Complex, the reimagining of Pine Avenue project, and when Elliott launches the water taxi with visitors parking, pouring off the pier onto Pine Avenue, the museum expects to serve more visitors than in the past. I hope that you can see what a valuable resource the Anna Maria Island Museum has become for the community and an attraction for our visitors. The questions become, how do we enhance it going forward to better serve the community and make it more attractive to our visitors? Thank you for this time.
Thank you for the presentation. Very good. Do we have any questions or comments?
Barbara has the invitation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. That was wonderful. In closing, we just would like to say that the museum is just 2 blocks away, and our wonderful docents, please stand, that are here today, are going to be there until 1 o'clock, or some of them anyhow, to serve you if you decide to come over. Just 2 blocks away. Maybe you can take maybe 15 minutes out of your busy schedule to walk over and let us take you through a tour of the museum in Bellhaven. Just a few things that Doug didn't mention is we have 52 bakers that bake the old settlement bread, and it is sold at our farmers market every Tuesday during our farmers market time. And that money is what paid for our $4,000 scholarship. That's how much people love the old settlers' bread. And another thing that is so popular at our museum, and our docents they're so wonderful with the kids, when they come, we have a scavenger hunt. And the kids go through the museum and they identify the old mailbox. They identify the 10-foot rattlesnake skin on the wall. They're looking at the insect trap and the human yoke and all these wonderful artifacts that they can't even imagine. We have to, really explain it to them because it's so long ago that these kinds of things were used. Anyhow, they love the scavenger hunt, and it truly is. It's a family gem for people to come, families to come and go through the museum and learn about the unique, charming history of our island. And I thank you so much for considering us in any way for funding. As you can see, the porch of that in that picture there, it has sizable cracks all through it. And then there's cracks on the exterior wall in front. And I'm getting some bids now to see how much that would cost. But again, as Doug mentioned, all that we have, it's all done with volunteers, other than people taking out memberships to help the museum. And then our annual fundraising events, the Heritage Day, our membership luncheon. And we work along with the city in hosting ice cream socials and strawberry shortcake when we have Memorial Day and Veterans Day. We are open, and our wonderful docents are there at the museum to help with that. And so I thank you, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. It is indeed a gem, and I'm so happy that 20 years ago that it was established. And I'm going to try and make the time to come over there, depending on how this meeting goes today. Do we have any comments? Yes, please. Eric.
Barbara, Doug, and the docents and the entire staff and everyone that operates the museum, I'd like to say thank you. Our staff, when we have guests come and stay with us, we'll talk about the different areas to go to on the island, Pine Avenue, et cetera. And the museum is somewhere that we send them, and I can only tell you that the feedback that we get from them is it's astonishing that someone has taken the time to set this up and go back in time and actually see what this island had to offer originally and where it's come to. So again, I say thank you very much for all your efforts.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
I
Childs.
just want to echo that. It's part of what makes this island the paradise that it is. And you think about a little place like this and what its values are, and the Historical Society and the people that give so much to it represent that, and they reflect that. What are the things that make this place so great? It's the building we're in now. It's our elementary school. It's our orchestra. It's our historical society. I mean, how many little places like that have so many things that do reflect the values and the character of an island? So thanks for the work you do.
Very well said.
Madam
Any
Chair,
other comments? Yes.
Thank you, Barbara and Doug. Great job, Doug. I swear one of those photos you showed, I saw John Chappie in one of those historic photos. Is that accurate, Doug? Yeah, and for the record media, the ferry won't be that big. Yes, or they'll have my head. Thank you so much, ladies, for volunteering. I don't know what Florida would do, let alone Anna Maria Island or Manatee County, without volunteers. It maintains a sense of community. that we all focus on. So I think Doug had mentioned to me, you know, a lot of times throughout the year, you're averaging 400 people a day. So think about that. Probably 15,000 people go through that little house a year. Give you a perspective, the Bishop Museum has about 60,000 a year. So they're doing really, really well for little old Pine Avenue. Pine Avenue was Main Street 100 years ago. Thank you, Ed, and your partners for saving Pine Avenue to maintain it as a main street for the island, because it was not going the right way. So thank you so much. We're going to collaborate, you know, with the board. I know Colby and her team are coming out to visit tomorrow to learn more about it. So TDC, stay tuned for more.
Okay, wonderful. Next up, we have Mr. Carmine DeMilo. Carmine is a rock star at Manatee County. For those of you who don't know him, he is a guy that gets the work done of 10 people at Manatee County. And he's going to talk to us today about the beach maintenance update. Carmine?
Okay.
Hey,
Madam Chair.
Carmine, let me upstage you a second. I have to. My Italian brother. Madam Chair, we came to you all several months ago asking to recommend some additional full-time custodians. Tourism is up 22% visitation year to date. Tourism tax collections up 39% year to date. So it's doing well, but we got to maintain those beautiful beaches and those amenities. As Madam Chair said, Carmine is the epitome of a community servant. There's nobody better. We got to find the man a day off because he's out here every weekend working hard, serving our visitors with his team. So, Carmine, thank you for taking the time. You're a special person to us, and we're excited for your update.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Council, Carmine D'Amelio, I'm the Parks Operations Manager, and I'm also the ADA Compliance Coordinator with the Property Management Department. I want to give you a little background. Elliot stole some of my thunder with it, but we had a contracted custodial vendor that just wasn't meeting our standards by any means. So I met with my director and I told him that we can do better. The visitors deserve better. We sat down. I gave him a game plan. He liked it, and then we went before the council, and you guys approved some funding. So thank you very much. I personally thank you. The staff thanks you, and all the visitors thank you because it's working. So we wound up terminating the custodial vendor, and we hired our internal staff. We had some challenges right away, hiring that evening and night shift from 4:30 to 1 a.m. was very difficult. We just finished hiring our last staff member, so we're fully staffed right now. Meeting the customer service goals and our cleanliness standards, obtaining the proper tools for the job, and creating and implementing an effective schedule. And of course, there's vandalism. That's unavoidable at some times. I'm going to share some pictures with you. So this is Manatee Beach. You can see it's crowded. It's a good thing. Our beaches are the best in the country, in some cases the world. People come from all over the country and the world to come visit. And you can see with that, they're picnicking in the groves. That's on the right-hand side. That's Coquina Beach in the groves. It gets very crowded. But with that comes a lot of trash, a lot of restroom use. And on the left, it's us loading up trash, and strategically on the right-hand side, keeping things nice and neat as we pick up trash. I threw in that little caption there that some data of what we go through. So on a holiday weekend, we pick up on average 45,000 pounds of trash on a holiday weekend. So if you can imagine this room filled with trash about 10 feet high, that's how much trash we pick up on a weekend. Excuse me. Some more pictures. This is what we have 10 minutes after we clean, but having staff on site now, we can get and attend to those a lot quicker. I had to throw this in because on the left-hand side we had a plumbing issue. We couldn't correct it. We called in a plumber. The plumber came in, found out he needed some additional parts. So instead of locking the restroom, he left to go get the parts, and when you got to go, you got to go. So you can see the plumbing's not even hooked up. He used the toilet. The problem is staff has to clean that up now. The good news is at least he made the toilet there. And the other one on the right-hand side, you can see that that person didn't make the toilet. And that's some of the challenges with staff. They have to clean that up and make it safe and sound for the visitors. And of course, there's vandalism. It's unfortunate, but this happens, and we have to expedite repairs to make things presentable for our users. Some of the improvements, we implemented a higher standard, especially with our cleaning. Our diligent staff provides a better customer service. We can respond to safety concerns, repairs, and damage a lot quicker. We're getting a lot of compliments where we didn't have them in the past. We're also looking at implementing a lost and found on our county website. In other words, we're looking at our entrance beach signs by putting a little QR code on the signs, where if you lost something, you can take a picture with your phone, and it guides you on where to possibly find it and the phone numbers to contact. So we're working on it. We think that's going to be really cool. And then our complaints went down by 90%, which was tremendous. And here are some of the improvements. This is staff picking up on the trail at Coquina, and you can see how nice and neat things are. This is our new standard. We're in and out every 10 minutes cleaning the restrooms, and this is from 4:30 on to 1 in the morning. We're cleaning restrooms. And this is our standard. Floors are clean. And it's not just toilets and sinks. There's mirrors, there's fixtures, there's drains, there's repairs to hand dryers. The staff is doing it all. And on the left, you can see what happens 10 minutes after someone leaves. And we also have a broken tissue holder dispenser here. Staff comes in 5 minutes later because we have them on site. They repair it, they clean it up, and we're good to go. This is what I was talking about, the lost and found. This is daily. The tablets, you see a necklace in there, designer sunglasses, keys. This is what happens on a daily occurrence. And these visitors don't know how to retrieve their lost items. So we're hoping to implement that QR code and get it on the website. I was telling you about the compliments. I just wanted to read just a couple. This is just from a couple days ago. Walking the beach, and I was so impressed with the cleanliness of the beach. Kudos to whomever is doing the trash pickup because it's very clean, especially compared to the other beaches in the area. I clean up while walking the beach, and it made my walk so nice. That's from Sarasota. And she also added that the restroom is amazing. Thank you for keeping it clean. Very much appreciated. And then we have one specifically to our custodial supervisor. This message is directed toward Pete Chazowitz, custodial supervisor of the Property Management Grounds Division. I wanted to let you know that I received my driver's license that I lost on your property. I appreciate you very much for the effort to reach me and the effort taken to return my license. Thank you so very much. And he was from Indiana. Pete actually tracked this guy down on his personal time, and he overnighted his wallet to him. And this guy, I mean, some things are sentimental, and we want to get these back to the visitors because that's what we're all about. Here's some of the staff that's out there. Pete is on the left-hand side. That's Pete with Will. Pete is our supervisor. Will's one of our custodians. And then we have Pete again with Aaron. And you can see they're smiling, so that's a good thing. And this picture here, I had to include it because on the left, that's my lovely wife, and that's my mom from New Jersey. They're my big critics. I bring them out to the beach, and the first thing my mom says, let's go to Coquina Beach. Take her out there, and I make sure they go into the restrooms, and they're my critics. And I always say from 1 to 10, what's the scale on cleanliness? And they give me a 9.5 all the time. And the reason why is they said there's always room for improvement. So that's what it's about. So does anybody have any questions on that? Because I have another topic on something different that I want to talk about.
I have one question.
Yes.
And kudos to your mom for always saying there's room for improvement. That's a mom
She's
thing.
very cool. She's 81 years old, and she loves coming.
So regarding the lost and found QR code, I think that's such a great idea. But until that's implemented, how do people find items they've lost now?
They go through the 311 service.
Through 311?
Yeah, 311, yeah.
Okay.
And then the problem with that is that when they make that call, then they track down directors and then managers and then try and find out the area. If we can limit it to an area and those phone numbers are directly to that area, then it'll shorten the find and make it a lot easier.
That's very good, because it might take a couple of days to go through the 311 system.
And sometimes they get frustrated and just give up.
Right.
We're not about giving up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, so I want to get.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've researched them.
Could you repeat the question so everyone can hear it, because we can't hear her?
The self-contained restrooms, is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're researching them right now for our parks, especially our outlying parks, but nothing out at the beach right now. Good question, though. Any other questions?
Mr. Childs?
Yes, sir.
You said you have people there till 1 o'clock at night.
Yes.
What time do those beaches close?
It's midnight. The beaches close at midnight, and our restrooms close at 9. So when they close at 9, there's 48 stalls that we have to clean, and it takes from 9 o'clock to 1 a.m. to clean them to our
So the
standard.
beaches close at 9, the parking closes at 9.
The restrooms close at 9, and the beach is open until midnight.
Pretty late.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Majority of the problems happen in the last 2 hours?
No, not,
Vandalism and things like that?
no, not really. It's usually earlier than that. Okay, on to the next topic. This is going to be very cool. I'm trying to hold this mic here. I'll just hold it there. Okay, next topic. Environmental work boats. This is our new addition to our fleet, and it's going to help us not only with our waterways and ponds, but it's going to help us combat red tide. What is it? It's called a We Do boat. It's about 11 feet long, 8 feet high. It weighs about 2,300 pounds. It's made of fiberglass, and it has a custom trailer that we use to pull it. It's got a little Kubota engine. It's 20 horsepower engine. It's all hydraulic, and it's got an 8-foot boom cutter on it. It allows for productive, efficient, and effective remediation on the water. It removes invasive vegetation on the waterways, and most importantly, it's an efficient and effective way to clean up red tide. You all know about our beach raking and how successful we are keeping our beaches clean, and we utilize that rake as well. We have 3 of them. We utilize that during red tide, keeping things nice and tidy. So not only on the land, but now we're going on the sea. We've got these little boats, and they're called skimmer boats, and they're going to help us not only with seaweed and debris in our ponds, but with red tide. Here are We Do boats at work. On the left, you can see we've got a screen bucket, loader bucket on there. And what that does is that can scoop up seaweed with the drainage going through. And then if we ever have red tide, hopefully never again, we can use that to skim up some of the fish along the waterways. And this is our aerial boom. We use these in ponds for invasive plants, cattails, and things like that, cleaning up our ponds and our parks and waterways. And then lastly, we have another bucket. It has forks on it for picking up trees and limbs that have fallen in the waterway. I want to finish you up with this really cool video. I think you're going to like this a lot. That was out at Kingfish, and we were picking up some seaweed. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
I got a bunch of questions.
Ed, go ahead.
One, I think you want to be careful. That's very cool. It looks like it's out of Star Wars, and I think it's fabulous that the county has gotten it, but you're not going to clean up red tide with that. What you're going to do is you're going to clean up what happens as a result of red tide. And that is something that that I cannot tell you how much we should appreciate your efforts on that, because when your guys are out there with that tractor taking fish off of our beaches, and the way that you do it and the dedication to be out there in that with your respirators on in the hot sun and everything else, it is everything to the people that come to this beach and the residents and the businesses on this beach. So I just want to, anytime I can get a chance to say how much that means and how greatly that is appreciated. Anytime they need something to drink or something to eat, you send them up and we'll feed them to keep them out there. What do you do with what comes out of there? So you've got all of that material. What happens to that? Where does that go?
Great question. So since we have 2 of these boats now, and that loader bucket, what we do is we dump it ashore, and we have something called a lightning loader. It's like a grapple truck that grabs it, puts it right in the back of the loader, and it takes it away. But they offer conveyor systems for that, where you can dump right on the conveyor system, and it's like a mini barge, and then it takes it onto the barge, and you can dispose of it that way. We're just not there yet. We're still in experimental stages with these boats. So they're brand new, and we're trying them out right now.
And it's going to the landfill?
To the landfill, yes.
It goes to the landfill?
It goes to the landfill.
So can we talk about looking at the value of that and assessing that? Because I think that could make compost. Now, you've got a lot of salt in it, but it may be where it has to go cook somewhere, and that we could turn that into helping build soil. And if we could do that, that's a great story.
That's ideal, yes. I will research that.
And the last question is, will that deal with Ligbia? Was that Ligbia? And I may not be saying that right. I have a hard time sometimes with words.
Yeah,
but this snotty stuff that is on the bay side?
Yes, it will, yes.
Yeah, you're going to need more boats.
Yeah.
I wish I could agree that, that we wouldn't. Unfortunately, we're going to have more red tides.
Yes.
It's a naturally occurring organism, so I'm just delighted to see you guys being proactive.
Great, and Mr. Childs brings up a great point. It's not going to stop red tide, but it's going to help us keep it off the shorelines when it does happen.
And that's the things that our county is doing, and that's why clams and seagrass are important. They're not going to stop red tide. They're going to make the forest better able to fight the fire and recover from the fire when the fire comes.
Well said.
Madam Chair, I smiled when I saw Mr. Childs put his prescriptive sunglasses on when that video came on. It's amazing how he'll zone in. The body language when you were showing the WeDo boats was amazing. Does any other counties have this equipment yet?
They do not. And it's a local vendor. The good news is that they're out of Palm Harbor, or Palm Beach, I'm sorry. So if you have any issues, we can get parts quickly. Any kind of training, they're close by.
And that's what's amazing. Remember last year, red tide was coming in with the wisdom of this TDC, county administrator, and the Board of County Commissioners. Carmine's team got on it right away and mitigated it, where some other counties got way behind the 8 ball with funding, et cetera. But I tell you what, it really didn't impact our visitation like it could have.
Yeah.
Now to add this, I'll tell you what, we are blessed to be a cutting-edge county in getting out in front of it. So great job, Carmine.
Thank you. And to add to that, we had neighboring counties calling us, asking us what we were doing because they couldn't keep up with it. So yeah, we're happy and proud. Does anybody have any questions?
Any other questions from the TDC? If not, I have a question.
Yes.
So super cool. Those boats are really super cool, and I am happy that we are cutting edge and doing what we can up front. Are they portable? Can we take those to canals and other areas? And now these are probably paid for by TDC funds and need to stay on the beach, or maybe that's a question. But is there an application inland as well?
Right now, we utilize them in our park ponds, and the beach waterways. When you say portable, can we pick them up and put them in without a ramp of some sort?
Well, I think of like
Not at this-
trailer estates, Sarasota Bay, where they get a lot of the red tide washing up on their shores.
Yes, you can get into those canals easily, yes.
Yep.
That would have to be authorized from county administration.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, questions from the audience, but if you would please come to the microphone. Sorry about that.
Somebody that drives by, Carol Whitmore, somebody that drives by Kingfish Boat Ramp every day of my life for 50 years. Thank God for that thing, for the seaweed that comes up. I thought it was a great idea about the compost. We did the same thing with oysters in all the restaurants. We put them along our shorelines. And that's, Carmine, you are a genius with all this kind of stuff. Maybe there's something we can do ecologically and use this.
Okay, fantastic presentation.
Anyone else?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Any other questions?
Good.
Any other questions?
No, just if the media's in the room, TDC funds were not utilized to purchase this equipment.
Oh, thank
just
you.
for the record. Don't know if it could in the future or not, but I'm glad that the county commissioners and the county administrator found the funding to buy it.
Thank
I'm
you, everyone.
sure it's worth every penny and double that.
Thank
So,
you again, everyone.
Thank you. Great presentation. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 5 on our agenda, Arts and Economic Prosperity Initiative. Amy Blanker. Good morning, Amy.
Carmine is a tough act to follow, but hopefully I'll keep your interest as well. All right. As you just heard, my name is Amy Blinker, and I am the Arts and Cultural Manager for the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. So thank you for having me here today. All right, so today I'm going to talk about the Arts and Economic Prosperity 6 study. So the Arts and Economic Prosperity 6 study, also known as the AEP 6, is a study of the economic and social impact of the arts. It is being conducted by the Americans for the Arts in partnership with the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. This study is conducted approximately every 5 years to gauge the economic impact of the spending by nonprofit arts and cultural organizations and the events-related spending by their audiences. Due to the unique nature of the global pandemic, the study was postponed, unfortunately, for 16 months. The AAP study is being conducted in partnership with local and state research partners representing 387 participating communities. In each community, a research partner organization is identified to assist the Americans for the Arts with 2 primary data collection efforts. One is the audience intercept survey of the attendees to the arts and cultural events that take place within the community, and the other is budget and attendance surveys of nonprofits throughout our community. Each community will receive a customized report based on the findings of the survey at the end of the survey's time frame. So as you can see here, this is just kind of a sampling of some of the organizations that we did touch on. In short, these organizations are nonprofits throughout the community that were encouraged to participate in the study. This is just a few of them. We actually reached out to over 50 organizations, nonprofits within Manatee County. We ended up compiling this list from a previous list given to us from the 2017 study that was done by Realize Bradenton when they led the charge. And then we also did our own due diligence to research other organizations throughout our county. And we also have an arts and partner list that we went by to be able to include those partners. So there's some important things to know about the research notes. The intercept surveys must be collected in person. So it's not something that you can email out to your database and have them take the survey. So that's discouraged highly. So it has to be done in person. The surveys are collected from attendees that reflect the diverse inclusion and representation of sample of our community. And then there also is being asked that only one survey are done per travel party. So what is our goal? So our overall goal with our community is to collect over, on an average, about 800 surveys from the 12-month period, which started in May and will then conclude in April of 2023. We are collecting surveys from attendees at a broad sample of disciplines, which would include performing arts centers, visual art exhibits, fairs, festivals, and more. And we are also collecting from attendees from a broad sample of venues. So that would be museums, theaters, First Friday events, and just as some examples. We are collecting surveys from attendees at an assortment of activities that are also paid admission as well as free admission. And we are collecting surveys from representative samples of attendees at each event. One of the ways that we're making sure that we do a common strategy that we're using is that we're asking every 10th person to complete the survey, and this helps avoid the unintentional sampling bias. So we have a couple of different formats that we're using this year. One, which is very new, is the QR code, which I've heard we've talked a little bit about a QR code earlier today. The reason for doing that is to be able to utilize your device. So you can use your smartphone while you're attending the event, and you're given a QR code to be able to just scan on your phone and take the survey. The one cool thing about utilizing that is it goes straight to the Americans for the Arts, so we do not have to do any of the collection of the data from the organization. It goes straight to Washington, D.C. The next is a URL code, which is a kiosk concept where you're passing around your iPad to the attendees for them to utilize an iPad version. And then last but not least is a paper version. So those have to be collected. There's a batch cover sheet that's included in that. And then we, as the CVB, go to the organization after their events and collect them. So here is a timeline of how everything is kind of playing out throughout the year. So we're asking quarterly for each organization to complete 50 surveys at one single event. We started this in May, and it goes through July 1st, so we're currently on our first quarter. We are going to be collecting all of those surveys by August the 1st, and then you can see the second quarter will be collecting in November, the third will be collected in February, and the final fourth quarter batch will be collected in May. And then sometime in late summer, we'll be receiving from the Americans for the Arts our personalized report, so we can report back out what the economic impact study showed for our community. So that is it for my update. Is there any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Yes, Mayor?
I have one question.
Yes.
At an event, say if you were going to do it with a paper copy or whatever, what would be the time involved in that? Sometimes it's hard, when people are going through for an event.
Right. So what we've been telling people, because we have several organizations, even in Palmetto, that are utilizing the surveys. So we're letting them know not to stop everyone that's coming through the door, to try to do like every 10th person. They have a little elevator speech that we've created for them to explain the purpose and the reasoning and the benefit for them being involved in the study. So it doesn't really take up much time at all. If you are doing a theater setting, then you can have someone stand on stage and then make the announcement for everyone that's in the room, and then randomly have some of the QR codes or paper surveys on every 10th chair or what have you. So it's fairly easy to accomplish. Yes, yeah.
Can somebody take that home with them and then fill it out and get it to you? Do you have an avenue for that? I'm thinking like Symphony on the Sand, because you're not going to have somebody filling it out there unless you've got somebody with a clipboard. But
So for Symphony on the Sand, I actually have met with them to talk to them about doing the surveys. So you would have them having somebody with a clipboard walking around to actually collect the paper surveys on point while they're there, or you would have them utilize the QR code, because they could do it right there while they're sitting at their table, utilize the QR code on their phone. So ideally, you do not want them leaving and doing the survey when they're not at the actual event. We really are discouraging that. We're encouraging them to do it on site.
Other questions?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Great job. You remember probably the years are going by, 3-4 years ago, Amy raised her hand. I think you raised your hand, or I raised it for you, to lead our Arts Alliance for our county. She's done a great job. It's great to see Joan Voiles here, one of the art icons in our community, been very supportive. I appreciate you being here this morning. We really wanted to make sure you all knew what was going on. The biggest challenge that Amy has, and she's very detail-oriented, is getting people to fill out the surveys. Because if we can collect that data, then Amy and other organizations like a Realize Bradenton, like an Anna Maria Arts organization, can go find grants that sometimes this TDC can even match. So it is cumbersome, but you're doing a great job. And please, we just need ambassadors to convince the arts community to go ahead and fill these out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great comments. Great job, Amy. Thank you for your work. Okay, moving on. Excuse me. Moving on. Number 6, staff introduction of Colby Gason.
Come on up, Colby.
Kelly's
Kelly
not
is
here.
really, really sad. She's sick today, and she really wanted to introduce Colby. We're really excited. Kelly goes to a lot of the association meetings around the state, and especially through COVID, we kept hearing this young lady named Colby from Pasco County that just kept resonating as one of the new ones, one of the good ones, one with a very high ceiling. So with Anastasia Taylor leaving us for Austin, Texas, and now working for Expedia, and we're real happy for her, we were able to shift some things around, and we recruited Colby from Pasco to head up our domestic marketing and communications, with Kelly still being around the table, overseeing the international market and the airport initiatives, which has become a full-time job in itself. The two of them together, you're going to notice the personalities are similar. The creativity is second to none. Folks, put me aside. You got a really, really solid team with a lot of ability that is going to really manage that brand well in the marketplace. So with that, good morning, Colby. Can you give the TDC a little insight about Colby Gason?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, council members. I am not new to this setting. We often had TDC council meetings up in Pasco County. We actually had them more frequently. It was on a monthly basis, so very excited to move to quarterly. You will start to see more reporting come from me and my team because we've got some great things in store for you all. I've heard a lot of amazing things about you. Some of the accomplishments that we were able to do together in Pasco County include rebranding to Experience Florida Sports Coast from Visit Pasco. So I'm a creative person. I have a lot of drive, and I'm very excited that Kelly and Elliot saw that opportunity to bring me down here because it's a very different destination to promote. We were heavy in sports up in Pasco County. That's the Sports Coast. So being a part of a more traditional island beach-focused destination is very exciting to be a part of. So, and we've got an amazing team. I've already been here a month, and it feels like family. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Feel free to contact me. I'm here to serve you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I think the really good news is they know my managerial style. I can assure you they will manage me and not the other way around. So that's what we want. But thanks, Colby. You'll see her again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Manatee County.
While Ann's coming up, I just want to acknowledge, Christian, wave your hand real quick. So Christian Kraus, he is one of our interns from Florida Gulf Coast University. He's graduating with a marketing degree. Brilliant young man with a great personality. Ed, he worked for Sean Murphy at Beach Bistro for 4 years through high school, so that's a good accomplishment. And he has brought a lot to the table, and he's got an incredible upside. We're going to do all we can to find him something close to us, but at the end of the day, we want him to find something in our industry, in our community. So keep an eye on Christian. He's working with Kelly in the international market and doing a great job, so we're real blessed to have him.
Wow, great to see you. Okay, moving on to the State of Tourism update, we have Ann Wittine.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Ann Wittine with Research Data Services, and I want to give you a brief summary of what April looked like and what we're looking like year to date, and there's lots of good news here. So in April, we had just shy of 100,000 visitors in destination, which is an all-time record for an April. That's partly driven by the lateness of Easter this year. It's also partly driven by the fact that we were so full in March that people who wanted to come couldn't necessarily come in March, and some of those trips extended into April. So a 20% increase in visitation, but more importantly, really the bigger news here is the 36% increase in economic impact. That reflects 13.4% additional dollars spent by every person in the destination. The reason that room nights are not up quite so much, and you'll see it in the slide that follows, is that we saw an increase in party size from 2.8 on average people per party to 3. I know that doesn't sound much, but that is actually 7% upward pressure in the number of visitors who are coming. So in terms of occupancy, we had a very slight decrease over April of 2021, but an 8.2% increase in the number of licensed transient lodging units in the destination, which means more units to be filled. But ADR up by 27.3%, and up 22% over 2019. And we've added in additional tracking, so you can kind of see how those numbers have evolved over these last kind of extraordinary 4 years. In normal times, properties were happy to see a 3 to 5% increase in ADR, and we've been seeing these double-digit increases for 12 months at this point. So in terms of that growth from visitors, we saw a huge increase out of the Northeast and Midwest, which is very important. That rollback in Florida is part of the normalization, but you can still look and see that we are up 82% in terms of our Florida visitors over 2019. So all of that goodwill that we built with our local marketing campaigns is continuing to bear fruit with visitors coming to our destination. And these are the numbers I mentioned earlier. So we have that increase in party size. The decrease in length of stay also means more visitors in the destination because it means that those units are turning over more quickly. But I want to point out that both of those numbers are kind of normalizations back to 2019 levels. So in terms of a fiscal year-to-date basis, there's the 22% that Elliot mentioned earlier. So fiscal year-to-date, visitors are up 22% and economic impact is up 36%. Both of those are significant increases over 2019. Visitors up 37% and economic impact up 49%. So for May, airport traffic at the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport was up by 15%, but that is a 106% increase over where we were in 2019. So where that seems a little smaller than numbers we've been seeing, you've got to remember that that's compounded on top of the increases that we've been seeing. So this is calendar year to date. Traffic through Sarasota Bradenton International is up 57% over last year, which was up 155% over the year before. So on a comparison basis, there's the Sarasota numbers that I just mentioned, and you can see that on a compared to 2019, the Sarasota Bradenton International Airport is significantly outperforming the other Florida airports that we are tracking, and also the TSA system-wide. The fact that some of these other airports are seeing bigger numbers in May just means that they were much harder hit last year, where Sarasota was already posting records. So here's and we've been watching this at all of our meetings. This is throughput through TSA passenger checkpoints system-wide throughout the country. That is the average daily number of passengers in 2019, the average daily number of passengers in 2020. And to put it in perspective, that gray line replicates the seasonal pattern of visitation from 2019, and so carries that forward. So you can see we're now mirroring the normal pattern of seasonal visitation, but we're not quite back yet. So the numbers we saw on the previous slide were that April and May were about 10% down over 2019 levels. And the beginning of June was down a little bit more than that, about 12%. So we had been hearing that there was a little bit of softening in June, and so that's sort of reflected in terms of occupancy barometer, and these are people who are reporting their May occupancy the beginning of June, because we asked them to give us their occupancy and average daily rate information for the previous month once that month ends. So we are hearing lots of great comments considering gas prices and all the things that are going on. We are not hearing from property managers that that is affecting their summer business. And for May, we're seeing properties still reporting ADR increases over last year and the year before, and that 37% of the properties are reporting having sports visitation. And then one last thing, we haven't brought this slide to you in a little bit, but we are comparing, and this says that the bold numbers are May. They actually include responses from the very beginning of June. So people who responded to us from our first wave of June data collection are also in here to make sure we're bringing current information to you. And we compared it back to what we were hearing in May of 2021. So all the numbers in parentheses are that. So people are a little bit more concerned about their personal health than they were this time last year, a lot more concerned about their personal finances. We are a little less convinced that we're getting back to normal, so 44.6% say that they think things are getting back to normal. This is the big reason that I brought you this slide. So we ask about gas prices and whether that's something people are concerned about. So last year, 39% were concerned about gas prices. Now we're at 61% saying that they're concerned. Last year, we were at 45% saying that they were concerned about rising travel prices. Now we're at 65%. And the economy is showing a similar uptick in terms of potential travelers' concerns. In terms of feeling safe, people feel safer dining in restaurants and feel safer taking domestic flights. Feel safer visiting indoor attractions than they did at this time last year. 23% say that they're not interested in visiting Florida destinations, which means The positive side of that means that 77% are interested in traveling to Florida. So here's the counterpoint to those rising concerns. We've got 64% of the people. We haven't seen this number in all the time we've been doing this study, who now fall into the green light travel category. That means people who are willing to travel and are likely to travel in the next couple of months. So 2/3 of the people we're talking to are planning essentially to take a summer trip, up from 55% last year. And that shows in the red light travel as well, that we're not seeing an increase in red light travelers. And 48% of the people who responded to our survey are telling us that they currently have a trip booked, up from 40% this time last year. So despite the fact that there's more concerns, it almost seems the sense that we're getting from everything that we're hearing is that people are wanting to take a trip in case these things get worse. So I think we're still going to see a very good summer. That's what we're hearing looking into July, that July is strong. And that is a quick summary of what we're seeing on the research side. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Anne, very much. I have a question about European travelers.
Okay.
Do we expect to see them back soon? I
Well,
hope?
we actually are seeing them back. Our European travel was about 75% of, in April, was about 75% of what we had seen back in 2019. And I was looking at international travel from Tampa, from Miami, from Orlando. It's a little harder for me to tell. So the Tampa International Airport saw this is an inconceivable number, a 1,200% increase in international travel, and was at 75% for April, and was at 75% of the level of last, actually that's May, of last May. Orlando saw a 434% increase in international travel over last year, and Miami saw a 112% increase, but that was only 2.9% down. That is April, because their May numbers aren't up yet. But that was only 2.9% down over April of 2019. So we are seeing signs that it's picking back up. We're hearing signs that the business, that the meetings market is picking back up. So some of the markets that have been slow to come back, we're starting to hear some very positive things.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Kelly was just at International Powwow in Orlando 2 weeks ago. And, you know, the feds had the testing still in place. So if you're British and you want to book your holiday, you're going to test 24 hours before. Now imagine if you have everything booked and one person out of that family fails. You've just lost your holiday. So they weren't going to take that risk. Soon as IPW was over, a week later, the feds lifted that testing requirement. So there will be extreme pent-up demand for the British and the German visitors, okay, because of that. I think what you've seen a little bit that Ann showed you is, I'll call somewhat of an anomaly still. We don't expect to see this kind of growth 2 years from now. There's a lot of variables that we're dealing with. I'm a believer of the less is more theory, okay? It is great to see Ann showed you the increase of short-term rental capacity that's now up to 10,000 and change, okay? You have to put Sarasota County into that mix. Visitor don't care whether they're in Manatee County or Sarasota County. But what the blessing is all that increase in capacity in both counties, you still, based on the demand, are getting higher average daily rates. That's why the visitation's at 22% and the economic impact is at 32%. Those are the kind of numbers that you want. But because we're having this extreme, I think what's going to happen, and you know, we all have subjective opinions, is this time next year, our domestic influx is going to go to Europe because they haven't been able to in a while. But now you're going to have an influx of Brits and Germans that are coming to offset that, okay? But we are scrutinizing our artwork. You have the brand author and Dave DiMaggio sitting right there. And when people say, Elliot, you're doing too good of a job, maybe Dave did too good of a job on the brand elements. We've gained 40% market share against some of our competitive set in the last 5 years with one of the smaller marketing budgets. So it's brand positioning, brand penetration, and Kelly and now Colby are positioning their digital ads in the proper place. But with that scrutiny comes from how do we showcase the island in a manner that it's no longer in the forefront. We got to be careful because we never want to be Clearwater Beach. So less is more, okay? Moderation. Remember the last meeting I told you, my blood's flowing right now. The last meeting I told you, you had 400,000 visitors last year on Anna Maria Island in short-term rentals, okay? All right, well, where's all the traffic coming from? It's people like me who live in Lakewood Ranch or in Pinellas County that are just coming on the day, going to the Chow's Group restaurants, you know, kind of curious and all that. How do we mitigate that through enhancements of multimodal transportation and ferries, et cetera? So the good news, with your support, my boss and the Board of County Commissioners, we're able to bring on people like Colby working with Kelly to manage that brand while I can look downfield to try to work with you all in the cities to mitigate this influx of visitation on the island, okay? Because you know what? If we don't care about it, then we're contradictive of our brand elements that are in the marketplace. Low rise, low keys, detox environment. It's as simple as that. Just a couple other tidbits, if I may, Madam Chair. Mark Stuckey and I came from what we call speed dating with the airlines in Reno. Tough place to get to, flying. The great news is all the nonstop flights that are coming into SRQ are performing well. If you see cutbacks, they're trying to train pilots to restore those flights. So we walk away saying, hey, you know what, let's control the controllables, and the performance is good. Air Canada starts for the first time since 2019, so they'll launch October 30th, daily service to Toronto. Really, really important. And we've talked to them about how can we work with Air Canada, because we know there's Germans and Brits that are coming from those countries through Toronto that we can actually have them pre-clear and come into SRQ, aside from coming in from BA or the Lufthansas of the world. SRQ is probably going to land by the end of September 30th at 3.6 million passengers. Unbelievable. The expansion is not going to come fast enough. Mark would probably tell you we're probably about 18 months away from getting those 5 extra gates. But the communication and coordination has been great. Finally, I told Ed Childs before the meeting, the county departments were going through their budget meetings with the Board of County Commissioners. Commissioner Servia was there. I didn't ask for anything because business is good. I'm a fiscal conservative. And we got to provide good rationale when we want something, especially marketing dollars. Sorry, Colby. And but it was all good. Commissioner Servia, with all due respect, I think it was more of a love fest than anything else. There were really good questions, and what that did was it evolved to the commissioners saying, you know what, why don't we do a workshop in the near future? So what I'm going to ask Dr. Hopes is, why don't we try to do a workshop with the Board of County Commissioners and the TDC around one table, and let's look down the road a little bit together, see where we're at, and see where we all want to go for the greater good of our community. So stay tuned for more information on that.
I love that idea. That's a great one. Thank you, Elliot. Any other questions before we move on to public? Oh, yes.
Just curious on any reflection on the Anna Maria numbers down 35%. Is there anything that jumps out at you on resort tax collection numbers from 5/1/2022 to 5/31/2022? Shows Anna Maria down, shows Palmetto down.
Let me take more of a look at it. Let me look at our Anna Maria, and I'll get back to Elliot so he can get back to you. Because I'm not seeing it in terms of occupancy or ADR that I recall, and I just went through the numbers fairly carefully. I did have one other statistic I wanted to share with you that I should have highlighted as we went through. Economic impact for fiscal year to date. is over $1 billion for the first 7 months of the year, for the first time ever. And that is 84% of the entire fiscal year of 2021. So I just wanted to highlight that achievement as well.
That's big news. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Any other questions for Ann? Yes, Eric?
Ann, thank you very much. You're spot on with this. What's refreshing for us is in the last week and a half, hearing a few German accents at the resort and a Scottish accent at the resort. So yes, they are coming back. They're definitely coming back. They're getting there.
Right.
But yeah, you're right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, okay, we're ready to move on to public comment. One last time, anyone in the public who has comments, please come to the microphone. Going once, going twice. No more public comments. Okay, board, new and old business. Do any TDC members have anything else that they'd like to discuss? Mayor?
Mine, kind of a little bit of sharing. I don't know how many people realize that Palmetto is celebrating its 125th birthday on July 1st. And so we'll be having some events. If you're in the area or have some grandchildren, you'd like to take them to the historical park in Palmetto. There's going to be a lot of events and activities, cookies for the kids, anniversary cookies for the kids, some little treats that'll be given out by our Palmetto Community Redevelopment Agency in the city of Palmetto. So it's 10 to 2 on July 1st. That's a Friday. And so they'll learn a little bit of the history about Palmetto and be able to actually walk some of the historical areas. The other thing, and I'm sorry that Mayor Brown isn't here because we always like to kind of announce about the July 4th celebration. Because we in Palmetto, we have an event in our Sutton Park, which is our historical, it's our park that's named in memory and honor of veterans. And certain ones, the name comes from a particular individual that lived in Palmetto that was lost, but also in memory of all veterans that have served. So it's very fitting that we have the July 4th celebration there. It will start on July 4th at approximately 5 p.m., and there will be music and all types of events for the kids, and that'll be out throughout the park. We'll have a DJ, of course, and our main act this year is going to be Neil McCoy. And if you're a country music fan, I'm sure you know who that was, but I'll just remind you a couple of songs. No Doubt About It, The Shake, and Billy's got his beer goggles on. No, I don't recall that one at all. But anyway, that's gonna be at Sutton Park in Palmetto starting at 5. And then Neil McCoy will come on at 7 o'clock. And then just to make sure that everybody is aware, by 9:15, the fireworks will be set off between Manatee, or between Bradenton and the city of Palmetto. Those are sponsored by a partnership that was established many years ago between the city of Bradenton, Manatee County, and the city of Palmetto. We, we split those in thirds. We've had to raise the ante a little bit, but it's been well worth it, and those can be seen for great distances. And we've even upped the level of, we had to recently increase that, and because we wanted to have really outstanding fireworks to celebrate the July 4th, that everybody could really participate in along the shoreline and utilize a lot of the businesses there throughout so much of Manatee County. So we hope everybody will put that on their calendars and join Manatee County, City of Bradenton, City of Palmetto in sharing those fireworks.
Yeah, always a wonderful celebration. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Mr. Childs.
Everybody get to the 4th of July in town, and fireworks will be back on the island on the 2nd of July at Anna Maria. And we're hoping for a really great show this year, and it's great to have the fireworks back and to be celebrating with everybody down here. Old business and the minutes, we talked about, we had a $2.5 million ask to the state for an appropriation for our All Clams on Deck effort. That's about using biological mitigation strategies to create a large macro science lab project in the only place in the country that has 3 national estuaries on its border, and that's right here. We live on the edge of the largest Gulf in the world, and I think most of us realize that this is the nursery for 70% of the commercial species that we like to enjoy on our table, and we've got issues, and we need to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to promote the health of these estuaries. We received that appropriation, and so we are very real. We want to thank Senator Boyd led this, and Representative Robinson, and really the leaders of the state now. We have, for the first time, a unified, the relevant scientific community around bivalves, and that's people that are actually in that science, not people that have been a science somewhere and never wrote a paper on clams. But the scientific community around bivalve research and seagrass research is now unified that we need to be thoughtful, and we need to select the projects that we need to work on so that we can get the data that will leverage this science project. How much nutrients are removed? How much do we improve coastal resiliency? How much do we improve our forage fish? What do we do about carbon? What are we doing about methane, right? Because that value is going to, that data is going to be really valuable, and that's what's going to let us leverage these dollars. When we get that science, then we're going to be able to show the effect of these natural mitigation strategies that provide great jobs. We don't want to lose clam farmers because when red tide comes, their clam leases get shut down, rightly so. Seafood safety is critically important. But we want to be allowing them to, when those clams get too big, because it's all a fresh market, and then they can't sell those clams and they have to quit being clam farmers, to sell those clams into a restoration market, because frankly that clam is more valuable. They come out of the water at 18 months. If they get in the water too long because the red tide closures, eating red tide, making it inert, cleaning water, promoting seagrass, then there is no value for them and they leave those clams. Those clams may die as a result of that, especially if they're under cover nets or if they're in bags. They're going to get fouled, they're going to either suffocate or they're going to starve. That clam is more valuable to the citizens of this state as a restoration clam. And now we are going to provide a whole new market for the clam farmers to sell into. And instead of getting 11 cents for his clam, because the guy that bags and tags gets a dime, and I pay 23 cents. Now, I don't know why the guy that bags and tags gets as much as the farmer does, but that farmer ought to get 20 cents for his clams, because that clam is sexually mature, and that clam is now predator-proof, and that clam is not going to have mortality, and that clam is going to be around for a long time, 33 more years, doing what it should be doing for the citizens of Florida and making more for coastal resilience. I was in Washington last week on the federal ask. We are now going after that. We actually thought we'd get the federal before the state, but the leadership of this state now is united as well, is unified in leading and showing how Florida can lead the way. We ask y'all to send, and we ask everybody to send letters. We want to thank all of the people that did that. We want to ask you now to support the federal ask and talk to our congressional representatives. This is about community engagement. Young man, Christian, we're going to be talking. Florida Gulf Coast University and your water school has partnered in this project with the Gulf Shellfish Institute. We hope to loop in the Center for Coastal Solutions at the University of Florida as well, and a lot of different organizations as we move forward. So this is about community engagement on all levels, and this is about leveraging our dollars so a penny gets you a pound, because when we can show that all communities come in, I'm going to Manatee County for a match, we're going to cities for a match, we want Pinellas to have skin in the game, and Hillsborough to have skin in the game, and Lee County and Collier County, and everyone around these 3 national estuaries. I also want to mention the pond program that was started in Sarasota County, and Elizabeth Moore and I did a match to bring it into Manatee County in conjunction with this county to look at the inland because it's right, it's everything. We've got to be working on the coast, we've got to be working on wastewater, we've got to be working on what you put on your lawns, we've got to be working how we run our farms and our ranches, and one of the places that we can be working on in the inlands is stormwater ponds, is homeowner association ponds, where you are required to remove 73% of the nutrients in that water. They're maybe removing 20 if they're lucky. And because of the programs that started in Sarasota and now Manatee has adopted, we have 4 miles of shoreline where we have put in very simple things, 2 feet of unmowed grass, which is a filter and collects the nutrients so they don't run into that pond. Aquatic plants that you can put in if you want to accelerate that. And that creates biodiversity, and that creates the bird life, and you can go catch a fish in that pond, and then the neighbor next to you hopefully will want to join in, and that is what's happening. So I just wanted to thank everybody for the support, encourage you to now focus on the congressional delegations where we hope to have great success as well and leverage these dollars.
Ed, I just have to say thank you. Thank you on behalf of the TDC. Thank you on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. The work that you're doing is improving the quality of our water and our lives, not only for us, but for generations to come. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Madam Chairman, the airport, as you know, has been doing extremely well, and I'm still involved with it, and we had a meeting the other day. And at the end of the meeting, the head of the place out there, he was telling us what all was going to be done. And I said, well, how much is it going to cost? They have $60 million in the bank, but what they're going to spend in the next 5 years is $200 million to upgrade that airport because of all the stuff they got to do just to meet the needs of where it is now. That is a huge increase, but it'll also be to the benefit of all of us, having more of everything. That will be the 5 new gates on one side and a lot more buildings, increased staffing and everything like that. Secondarily, this is my last meeting on the TDC because I've been on here 4 years, but I have a good person in mind to replace me, and that's me. I have applied to be reappointed. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. And
Madam
thank
Chair,
you.
just real quick, a little hotel update. As Mayor Bryant knows, the hotel's coming out of the ground. It's probably 20% complete. All the horizontal work is in. Drive by, you'll see a series of columns. Right now, it is projected to be finished December of 2023. Marriott will take about a month to do the inspection, to sign off on it. So I'll say first quarter of 24, that 252-room hotel will be open. The Board of County Commissioners last week approved construction design for the Convention Center expansion. Foley Bryant is the lead architect on that. So stay tuned. I'll be coming back to the TDC. I'm not sure if it's going to be August or not for some visuals and construction budget, expansion, renovation. We got some catch up to do because now all of a sudden the hotel is moving down the road pretty well. But even though we're going to streamline this, our objective is to not miss a step. So stay tuned. It's great news.
Yes, Mayor.
On that point, I look forward to Palmetto contributing more on the sales tax line when the hotel
The tourism
comes online.
tax, absolutely.
I look forward to participating.
Let me just give you all a projection. And Mayor Bryant and I were really candid with each other. So you're going to have about a $25 million of revenues coming in with tourism tax this fiscal year, right around $25 million. Out of that, the city of Palmetto will generate about $37,000. Okay. Now, what is this hotel going to do? Add about $4.5 million to that a year. Okay? So when I come to the TDC, I'm kind of getting out in front of it. Over a 20-year period, depending on what the cost is going to be for the expansion renovation, that hotel in itself will generate probably about $18 to $19 million of revenue, TDT revenue, during that 20 years. So essentially, could it be a wash pretty close to it And I've always said the best partnership with tourism tax proceeds is what benefits the visitors and no cost to the residents. And this is one of those examples.
Exactly. Thank you.
Any other comments while we're here? All right, I want to thank this TDC. You are all wonderful. Thank you, Elliot, to you and your team. Great leadership here. Thank you all for being here. We are adjourned.